I realized recently that I am finishing up my 5th year on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for 5 years. In that amount of time, I have posted over 500 videos to my channel, and probably the topic about which I have made content more than any other topic is budget cooking. In fact, I have an entire playlist of these videos on lots of different budgets, modest budgets and extreme budgets, and videos that are made for one person to eat off of and videos that are made for families. Some that involve lots of scratch cooking and others that rely on a few convenience ingredients. I mean, just all over the map. But when I think back on all that I have learned about budget cooking and shared about budget cooking, it really boils down to 2 basic concepts. If you can learn these 2 concepts, then you can cook on a budget according to your terms and your tastes and preferences just about any time you need to. And I'm going to share those 2 ideas with you today. First off, if you want to learn how to cook on a budget, you've got to learn how to stock your kitchen on a budget. This means learning the stores that are available for you to shop at, including maybe discovering some new ones or trying out some new ones that aren't too far off the beaten path, and learning how their sales cycle works, whether it's traditional supermarkets, which have like a Wednesday through Tuesday sales cycle, and being sure to learn how to read their ads and pick up some of their steeply discounted items, which usually appear on the front page of the ad. And also other supermarkets, like I'm here at Walmart today. You've got supermarkets in Target. You have grocery items that are available even at pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens. You have places like Dollar Tree and Dollar General that have items, and learning how their sales and their discounts work, learning when they discount their bakery items, when they put their meat on clearance. If you can learn a few of those things, then it's easier to score some good deals on stuff that you know your family will eat or that you use frequently. In addition, this means learning what's in season, especially where produce is concerned. For instance, right now it's summertime and there are so many great fresh fruits and vegetables that are in season and that are cheap compared to other times of the year. So right now it makes more sense for me to pick up berries or watermelons, which I can usually find for under $5 all summer long, and sometimes as low as $3 in the months of July and August in my area, as opposed to picking up like apples and oranges, which would be in season during the wintertime. Now, sometimes you just can't find something on sale that you need or that your family utilizes frequently, so of course it's important to also understand just the basic prices for items at the stores that you frequent, and kind of have in mind what a good deal is, like where the best price is on rice or on beans or on oatmeal or on that cereal that you know your family likes and can utilize as a really easy breakfast item. It's really good to understand prices, how they work within sales cycles, and then also where the best just everyday price is among the stores that are available to you so you can pick stuff up as you need it. Now, one thing I have learned making dozens of budget cooking videos over the past 5 years is that variety is a luxury. And I might have a few recipes in mind, and one of them uses potatoes, and one of them uses rice, and one of them uses pasta. But those 3 ingredients actually kind of function the same in dishes. It's the starch, right? It's the carbohydrate. So it would probably be more of a cost savings for me to just pick one of those starches and use it across multiple recipes throughout the week. I might really be feeling chicken, but if I see ground beef marked down to $2 a pound on super sale, then you better believe there's gonna be some ground beef recipes on the menu that week when I'm trying to stick to a budget. So one of the keys when I am putting together these budget meal plans is to try to use some ingredients across multiple dishes. And it may mean that I'm using beans 3 times, or it may mean that I am making only rice dishes and not pasta dishes. But it also means that I can purchase those things in bulk at a lower cost and save myself a little bit of money. And you might be thinking, isn't this stuff that everybody knows? Well, not necessarily. It's something that we all have to learn, right? In fact, I'm starting to try to bring my kids with me grocery shopping occasionally so they can just see, because I don't know that they have any concept of how much the food costs that comes into the house. So when they see that a bag of Doritos is $4.38 and they see that a watermelon is $4.67, they kind of see like the value in that. My most viewed video on my channel over the past 5 years is called How to Eat for $10 a Week, and it was basically, I spent $10 here in Walmart where I am today at that time, and I came up with as many meals as possible that would hopefully feed one person for an entire week. I have since set it to unlisted. You might still be able to view it on my budget cooking playlist, but it's not really out in public on my channel because it's outdated. It's 3 years old and the prices are not the same, and I'd probably do things differently. In fact, I plugged in all of the ingredients that I purchased for that particular meal plan into my Walmart app, and it came out to just over $15. And I asked myself the question, if I was making this video today with a $15 budget, what would I buy? What would I buy for $15 knowing what I know now? Well, it wouldn't be anything on the aisle that I'm on right now because it's all snacks and candy and stuff that I'm probably not buying if I'm on a really tight budget. So let's go find some other great things. This is what I picked up at Walmart with my $15 budget minus one item that I just forgot. I've got a dozen eggs here. They're back within a reasonable price at all of my stores. I was glad to see because it's such a great budget item to use in your cooking. A pound of pasta, I got the small shells. A pound of sausage, I love using this in budget cooking. You know this if you've watched my budget cooking videos because it's seasoned and it's kind of fatty, so it adds a lot of flavor to dishes, even if you just use a little bit. They had discount bread for 40 cents on the discount bakery rack in my Walmart, so I had to pick up one of those. I've got a 30 count of corn tortillas plus 4 fresh Roma tomatoes, 1 fresh onion, and a jalapeno. This little guy was like 14 cents. Jalapenos are so cheap when you just buy them by the pound and weigh them out at the register, and they add a lot of flavor with not very much. A pound of dry pinto beans, an 8-ounce block of extra sharp cheddar cheese. I made sure I got the flavorful cheese, so a little will go a long way. A bag of mixed vegetables, 2 containers of Greek yogurt. I wanted to get plain Greek yogurt, but my Walmart was out because plain Greek yogurt I could either sweeten myself and eat like for breakfast or a snack, or I could use it in place of sour cream. But since they didn't have plain, I just got this flavor. It was the lemon meringue pie. My total for all those items was only $14.44. I meant to pick up like 4 or 5 bananas to go along with this too, so I would have some fruit, and I just forgot. I meant to pick them up at the end as I was walking out of the store, but you could also pick up like a bag of green beans because I'm a little light on the veggies here, but not bad for 15 bucks, right? And because I'm a grocery shopping nerd and I was just interested, I did a quick tally of the calories in this haul. And if you add in a few bananas and a little bit of oil for cooking things here and there, you're looking at almost 10,000 calories from the items that I picked up. So it's probably not quite enough for a week, you know, but it would get you through 4 or 5 days depending for just one person, or there's probably a couple of decent family meals that you could get out of this handful of items. So now the question is, if I need to eat on a budget, what would I do with all of this, right? What would I make? And that brings me to my second point. The second point that I want to make about learning to do some budget cooking, and that is that you have to learn to cook. Now you might be thinking, well, thank you, Captain Obvious. We need to learn how to cook. But you'd be surprised how many of us take for granted having just really basic cooking skills. Not necessarily even knowing how to make super complicated recipes, but just, you know, knowing how to cook eggs to our liking, knowing how to make beans from dry beans in the crock pot or on the stove. And if it's not something that was modeled for us growing up, it might not be something that just comes to us naturally, or that we, you know, automatically have, a skill that we automatically have. And that sort of makes sense for my generation. I'm actually a very old millennial. I'm the oldest millennial that can be out there. I was born in '82. And people who are younger, because during that amount of time, supermarkets got gigantic, and a lot of the products that they were offering, in addition to just your standard supermarket fare from decades past, were convenience items. Ready-made meals or partially made meals, and meats that are already cooked, and veggies that were already chopped. This made it so that we didn't have to do very much or even any cooking at all to provide meals for our families. And just like variety is a luxury, convenience is a luxury also. And we are paying a markup for all of those ready-made items, convenience items, you know, quick cooking items that have appeared in the grocery store over the last several decades that have also made sure that we're not really learning how to do it ourselves. Now, if you watch my channel Frequently, I know you're probably thinking, but Mindy, we've seen you use convenience items all the time. I have entire videos devoted to the concept of using a shortcut ingredient like taquitos to make a casserole, or bagged salad kits to make crispy chicken wraps here in the summer. And I think there is a time and a place for that. If you have money and you are trying to budget time, sometimes it makes sense to buy back some of your time to use a few of those convenience ingredients, because chances are it's still gonna be cheaper than going through the drive-thru or out to eat or picking up restaurant takeout. But I do know how to make some of those things. I know that if we are in a tight spot, I am going to be able to cut some of those things out of the grocery budget and go back to cooking very simply and going back to some of my cooking skills, being able to make the dry beans from scratch and being able to make the hash brown potatoes instead of buying them frozen. Knowing how to cook a whole chicken in the crock pot and then use the meat for dishes and the bones to make broth. Like, those are skills that I have. I know they're there if I need them. And if we ever find ourselves in a position where maybe somebody's lost a job or somebody has gotten sick, or we just need to tighten the purse strings a little bit to pay for an unexpected household expense, those skills are there if I need them. Now, with that original video that I made 3 years ago that has 1.5 million views, I did a lot of scratch cooking. Like, I made bread from scratch. I rolled out like egg noodle dough to make fresh noodles. And quite frankly, it's summer and I just don't feel like doing that much cooking. But I did jot down some ideas for what I could make with the items that I purchased today. I can do scrambled eggs and toast, keep it really simple. I can do French toast using the bread and the eggs. I could also make my pinto beans in the crock pot or on the stove, and I could use those to make breakfast tacos or maybe some really simple migas. I could smash up some of those beans and use the tortillas and the beans to make like a really simple quesadilla, or I could even fry up the tortillas in a little vegetable oil, and make some fresh pico with the tomatoes and the jalapeno and the onion and do like tostadas. I could also cook up a little bit of the sausage to throw in with the cooked beans, the jalapenos, some onion, and do like a really simple bean and sausage soup. And maybe even slice up a couple of those tortillas and crisp them up in the oven or the air fryer to have like a crispy tortilla strip topping and maybe a little bit of that shredded cheese. Another soup I could do with the pasta and the veggies is like a real simple minestrone or kind of like a pasta fagioli. If I wanted to change it up a little bit, I could take some of those smashed up pinto beans that I cooked and put it onto the sliced up bread with a little bit of cheese and have kind of like a grilled refried bean and cheese sandwich. I could also cook up a little pasta, stir in like one of my beaten eggs with just a little bit of shredded cheese and pour that over the top of steaming hot, like freshly cooked pasta, kind of like a carbonara inspired mac and cheese that would, you know, have a nice little protein kick to it. So good. A little salt and pepper hits the spot. Now, obviously, I can't make every single one of those things before I would run out of the items that I purchased, but that gives me a repertoire of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, at least like almost a dozen ideas for meals that I can make with just that handful of items that I purchased, because I know how to prep those things and how I can utilize those different items across multiple dishes to create whatever I might be feeling like at the time. And even if this is all the food I have to work with, because I have learned how to stock my kitchen, I have some basic spices and seasonings and condiments and things that aren't necessarily the nutrition factor of our food, but that make it palatable. I have those things on hand so that I can make food that I like to eat, that I enjoy eating, and take some of these very simple ingredients and turn them into flavorful dishes, as well as really inexpensive things to nourish us and fill us up when we don't have very much money on hand. It might seem overwhelming at first, but if you're watching this video, then you have access to a device and the internet. And if you have access to the internet, then you have access to a whole lot of information. Some of it probably not so great, but there are tons of recipe blogs. There are tons of free recipe ebooks that you can download or check out from your library if you have a digital library. Obviously, there are YouTube channels here with cooking resources. And my Nana used to say, if you can read, you can cook. And it might be just a tad more complicated than that, but all that's to say that just like anything else, just like a lot of things in life, I think cooking is a skill. It's not necessarily a talent. It's not something we're born knowing how to do, but if you put your mind to it and you utilize the resources that are around you, including human resources like those family members who you know how to cook, you can learn this skill. And once you have some cooking skills, you're also going to be able to practice something that I think is a huge money saver when you're trying to cook on a budget, and that is using stuff up. Like these potatoes that I have in my pantry. I mean, normally in the wintertime, I might turn these into a soup or into a skillet meal, or I might throw them onto a sheet pan meal with whatever else I have laying around. Today, since it's summer and I don't want to heat up the kitchen, I'm just gonna wrap them in foil and toss them into the crock pot so we can have baked potatoes tonight. But acquiring a few cooking skills makes it easier for you to make something out of nothing, as they say, and just kind of peruse the things that you have on hand, especially stuff that's about to go bad, and use it instead of letting it spoil and go in the garbage and thereby waste your money. If you or your family or somebody you know are struggling with food insecurity, I hope that you will consider utilizing resources like SNAP or WIC or local food pantries or other entities in your area that can help bridge the gap. And while I certainly plan to continue making budget cooking videos as part of the other content that I post on this channel, I do hope that while you're watching those very specific meal plan videos, either here or on other channels, because there are lots of them that are making that kind of content now, that you will also consider maybe watching a few videos about how to become a more thrifty grocery shopper and how to become a more skilled cook if it's something that interests you, because then you'll be able to make those extreme budget or any budget meal plans yourself. Thanks so much for 5 great years on YouTube. Here's to however many more. Pick out one of these videos to watch next, and I'll see you there.